Yes, continue.
Yes, sir.
What was the question?
The question was, could you elaborate on the unrest of the school at that time?
Okay. One other source of the conflict at that time was the clash between the political parties. Claremont was predominantly ANC, and most of the other organizations were not recognized in Claremont. And IFP was still also operating underground in Claremont. It wasn't recognized, quite recognized, much as there were IFP people, but there was a general perception that Claremont is mainly an ANC stronghold. I want to believe, and I'm saying I want to believe, that Mr. Ngumalo was a victim because he was seen to be an IFP person, and yet working at Sithengile as a principal. So that really, in my view, was also a reason why he could not lead the school successfully.
So, how and why was this location located?
You're referring now to Claremont.
No, the location of the school.
Oh, why and?
How and why was this location selected for the school?
Oh, okay. You will agree with me that there is no land in Claremont.
Yes,
And you will also agree with me that the Claremont is quite a rugged place. It's not a plain landscape. So, in my view, if you look at most schools in Claremont, you hardly have schools that are located in what we can look at as a convenient site for establishing a school. I can name a few schools which I think you will agree with me that they are not located. For example, if you look at Umqhele, you really wouldn't have thought that site is convenient for school. Look at Claremont Primary. So most schools here are located in what we can think this shouldn't have been a school site. Likewise in Sithengile, this was the space that was available and there was a need for a school, so they found themselves putting up a school in this place, which in the views of people, it may seem not to be a right site for the establishment or for the erection of a school. So it was chosen because there is no space in Claremont. So that's why it was located here. And as a result, as you can see, it even doesn't have the space for further development. It doesn't even have the space for the sporting facilities. So it was not by any choice. It was the space that was available.
Thank you. So we're now going to get into history of education in Claremont as a whole. So you said Sithengile was opened in 1984,
Yes.
but then said you got here as a principal in 1986. And after that, you said it was officially opened in 1996 by the former Minister of Education, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Payne. Yes,
Professor.
I'm going to talk about the opening in 1984. Can you tell us about the status of education in Claremont at that time?
The status of education.
Yes.
I may not really be able to talk about the status of education at that time because I was not working in Claremont, much as I was residing in Claremont. I was staying in Claremont, but I was not working in Claremont. So at that time, I didn't have the hands-on understanding and feel of what was taking place in the classroom in Claremont. All I knew, or all I can comment on is that the education was affected by the political unrest that was happening in and around Claremont. And at that time, it was the time also when the unions started operating in the industries. And each time there was a boycott in the industries, that would affect schooling in Claremont. And in that way, education got disturbed time and again. So every disturbance that was taking place in the community would affect schooling in Claremont. But as to what was happening in the classroom, it may be difficult for me to comment on that one because I was not working in Claremont. At that time, I was still working in Guamash as a teacher.
Okay, so since you've told me that you weren't working in Claremont at that time, so I'm going to base these questions on the year you started working here at Sithengile.
That is in 1987.
Yes.
That's the time when I started working here, in January.
So what were the biggest challenges that admins at schools like Sithengile faced at that time?
What was the biggest?
Challenges that admins at schools like Sithengile faced at that time?
There's this word you use in admin.
Admin, yes.
Administration, is that what you say? The biggest challenge that was faced by the administration of the school. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
The reason why I seem to be tongue-tied is because even the structure of education was not as it is now. Because the management structure of the school was different from what it is now. The school had only the principal as the manager of the school, and there were no other members in the management. There wasn't even the clerk in the school. So the whole thing centered around one person, that is the principal. That's why I seem to be a bit tongue-tied when you ask me about the administration of the school, because it was just one man that was running the whole show at the school. Which posed serious challenges, because you would be a principal, you would be the caretaker, you would be the security, you would be the HOD, the deputy principal, and everything. So those were the biggest challenges that we were faced with when I came to the school in 1987. So that is the biggest challenge, that it was a one-man show and you were expected to run the whole school single-handedly, doing all the responsibilities that have got to be done in the administration of the school.
So that must have been hard.
It was quite a serious challenge.
Sorry, sir. I want to ask, I heard that I think 2 boys were killed here, shot. Were they shot by any ANC parties or FP? And were you here?
I was here when the boys were killed.
So what did you
Are we done with the administration? Because,
Yes.
okay. Right. Now, if we talk about some disturbances that occurred in the school, among other things, when I came into the school, there was no culture of teaching and learning in the school. One remarkable thing that was happening was that the school would start functioning around 9, 9:30. It was very common for learners to come after 9 at school and leave the school at 1 o'clock. That was one of the biggest challenges I faced when I came to the school. They would come after 9, leave at 1 o'clock. There was no school uniform, and unfortunately at that time, that was the time when even politically in all the schools, the learners were against the uniform. The uniform that was allowed at that time was black and white, same uniform in all the schools. That was a common uniform. So I had to struggle to reinstate the uniform of the school because the colors of the school were there, but the political atmosphere around the school was against the wearing of a uniform for a particular school. So I had to struggle also to get learners and parents and the community to understand that each school is different. So each school needs to have its own identity, which is, as it is normally the case, enforced through the uniform of the school. So I had to work hard to bring back the uniform of the school. Work hard to make the learners understand that the school has got stipulated hours of work, which is 7 hours according to the department. So if the Department of Education says schooling is given 7 hours, it means the school has got to start at 8 and at 3. And when I came in, there are the learners coming in at 9 o'clock, and by 1 o'clock they want to go. So I had to have a series of meetings with them to say, guys, you need to choose. If you want education, you can't come at 9 and leave at 1. And we have got work that is prescribed, which we have got to cover, which is normally called the curriculum. Right. Now, if you come at 9 and you leave at 1, it means you are doing yourselves a disservice because there are subjects that you are not going to learn. So I had to engage with them, make them understand, but I would be lying if I say it was easy. So it took me quite some time to establish the actual sense in their minds as to the importance of coming on time to school and leaving at the right time. To an extent that when I came in, it was 3-3-2. 3 periods in the morning. No, it was 4-4-2. It was 4 periods in the morning, then break, 4 periods, lunch, 2 periods after break, after lunch. So seeing that the learners were leaving at 1 during lunchtime, I had to combine the break and lunch and make it 1. That is why you can see now that we only break off once. It was 15 minutes break, first break, then 30 minutes lunch. Because what I was trying to do is that even if a learner that goes away early would realize that I've missed quite a lot. But the tendency was that learners that would go after lunchtime, they would say, no, I've covered quite a bulk of the work. So even if I don't stay on for the last 2 periods. And even on the side of the teachers as well, some of them would not honor the periods after lunch, and thus promoting this early departure of the learners. So I had to combine the two and make it 1 break. And that worked because it minimized the problem of learners that were leaving early. Right. What else? Yes.
From what you're explaining, I can tell that the influence that the political parties had on the learners at the time was very strong because they really listened to them and they didn't really follow the rules of the school, and they decided that they were black and white because of the political parties. Do you think that political parties still have the same kind of influence on children or students like they had those days?
You're quite right to say the political atmosphere around the school was more influential than what was happening in the school. I think you're very correct, because we were being dictated to by what was happening outside. It was very common that you would plan your day, and just before midday, political parties or political forces would come into the school and disrupt the schooling. So it is very correct to say we were living at the time when the external political influence was stronger than what was happening within the school.
So were black.
But the other part of your question was that what is the situation now? I think the situation now is kind of balanced. Yeah, the situation now is kind of balanced, because we are, much as our learners are politically aware, but they seem to be taking their education seriously. They seem to be giving it a priority. So there is that kind of balance that is happening right now.
So were black and white schools at that time different, and lived different? How so?
Not even black and white. We had many, not even two, many departments of education. We had the whites Department of Education, we had the Coloreds Department of Education, we had the Indians Department of Education, and we had the Blacks Department of Education. And the Blacks Department of Education were also many, because the blacks were divided according to the homelands. Ours was KwaZulu Department of Education. It was called Education, KwaZulu Department of Education and Culture, KwaZulu Department of Education and Culture. That was our education. And each homeland had its own Department of Education. So there were so many departments of education that were doing things differently. And there was also a Department of Education which was called Department of Education and Training, DET, which was aligned, which was an education department that was not belonging to one of the homelands. It was aligned to the central government of that time, and it was called Department of Education and Training. So ours here at Sithengile, we were under KwaZulu Homeland Department of Education. So there was Department of Education for whites, for Indians, for coloreds, then Department of Education for the blacks, which were different homelands with its own Department of Education, and then another Department of Education that was aligned to the central government, which then also contributed to the history of the school, because Claremont is, I think we're still going to go to that, but Claremont at that time was unique in the sense that Claremont did not belong to KwaZulu homeland. Claremont never belonged to KwaZulu government, but schools belonged to KwaZulu government. So it was only schools that belonged to KwaZulu government. The area where schools were located was belonging to the central government, which was different from the townships, like Kwamash, like Umlazi, like all other townships. Those townships belonged to KwaZulu government, but Claremont was administered by the central government. So that raised some kind of conflict, because politically people would say schools that belonged to the central government were getting better facilities than schools that belonged to the homeland. So Claremont administratively is under the central government, but schools are under KwaZulu government. So people were then saying, when they compared themselves to schools that are under the central government, for example, Chesterville and Lamontville. Chesterville, have you been to Chesterville? Have you been to Lamontville?
No.
If you can check even now, schools that were in Chesterville and in Lamontville were better off than schools that were in Umlazi, KwaMashu, Claremont, because we, KwaMashu, Umlazi and Claremont, schools were under the homeland. But in Chesterville and Lamontville, schools were under the central government. So it was what you would call a divide and rule kind of an approach by the government of that time. So those that were under the central government would get more benefits. Those that were under KwaZulu would run out of the resources. So those are the things that were happening.
Yes, sir. That was a lot of advice. So thank you. I've asked my questions. Now Tabula Papa is going to take over, and the questions will be based on our community Claremont and the World History Program.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You have said a lot, and I've heard a lot. So, sir, I am going to ask you about the history of Sithengile.
Good.
Okay, sir. Do you have any memories or experiences from Sithengile history that stand out to you?
That
Stand out, any memories or experiences?
that stand out.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, there are quite a lot. One of them is the first day when I came to the school. On that northwestern side of the school, that was the main gate of the school. The other side, that's the northwestern side of the school, that was the main gate. When I first entered the premises of the school, there was a notice that was written there. The notice read thus: "Be careful of a black mamba in the school." And that was not a threat. Seriously, there were snakes that were running in the school.
Literal slaves.
Literally.
Seriously?
Seriously. There were snakes. This place had a lot of snakes, and not even tiny snakes. So that is a memory that still lives in my mind. As if that was not enough, because it was before the schools opened. I just came here to have an idea of how the school looks like, much as I was staying in Claremont at that time. But I had not actually come to the premises of the school. So I visited the school, and I was all by myself. And as I walked into the school, I noticed that all the windows in the school were broken. And not a single class had a door as I walked in the school. And there was water running all over. That still stands out in my mind.
There was water. So there was river here in the school?
No, not river.
I mean, before the school was built?
No, the water that was running, it was running out of the broken taps. It was the broken taps. The plumbing system of the school was not functional. Yeah.
So, as you have said before, that ANC and IFP were the political parties in Claremont.
they were the main political parties, the visible political parties, much as the dominating party was ANC.
No, okay. So were learners into these political parties, were they affected?
I think no learner at that time would come out as aligned to IFP. I may not say there was no learner that was aligned to IFP, but the situation at that time would not have been favorable for any learner to say, no, I am an IFP person. So everyone pretended to be ANC.
Oh, okay. So how were learners killed here in the school? Because
Okay. Out of that political disturbance that was happening in the community, the whole thing started in the community. There was some clash in the community. And these boys that were killed were schooling here. They were in the leadership here at school. They were against the disruptions that were happening in the school. Right. They clashed in the meeting in the community. And then they said, we know where you are schooling. We are going to find you in your school. So they came over here to finish the battle that had started in the community. So it didn't start here at school, but they happened to have known that those boys were schooling here.
so that's how the school was burnt.
No.
How was the school burnt?
Right, let's finish the killing of these boys, how it happened.
Okay.
It was in the morning around 10, 10:30. Teaching and learning was going on normally. And a group of boys came down here. At that time, there wasn't even a fence. At that time, there was even a thoroughfare. You could just walk past the verandas here. People would walk here, chatting the other side. Or some will come that side, going down that side. So the school was not demarcated. It wasn't fenced. Right. So those boys came in like everyone else that goes past the school. And they didn't go past. Instead, they went to the classes. And when they came to the classes, these boys that were killed and some other boys came out and they approached these boys saying, what do you want here? And that's how then the fight started. They started engaging one another. Not fortunately, it does look like these boys were expecting that these were going to attack them, because it was discovered that 2 of these boys that died had the knives in them. So they were carrying, at that time the guns were not very common. So these 2 of these boys that were killed had the gun, they had the knives with them. So the fight started. The learners screamed and they ran away, and the fight, they engaged with one another, fighting there. And 2 of our boys died, and the attacker, one of them died. Because our boys were also armed. So that's how it happened, the killing of the boys in the school. So it was 2 of our boys that were killed and 1 of the attackers killed. So 3 people were killed here at school around 10:30 in the morning.
Okay, so
And after that, we had to dismiss the learners, close the school. But the next day, we came back to school and we carried on.
So can I ask a question about that? Did the police take any interest in the
Yes, you know, the police are not here at school. Police are in the police station. They only react after an incident had occurred. But I would be lying if I say they did not give support. They took it seriously because it was quite a serious occurrence. So they came in, intervened, and political parties or political part, no, not political parties, the community also came in, and the matter was taken quite seriously, and up until those boys were buried, but after that, the whole thing calmed down.
So I also heard that the school was burnt. How was the school burnt and why?
This school was burnt twice. Firstly, it was burnt before my arrival. At the time when my predecessor, the principal that came before me, Mr. Numala, at the time when he was chased away, the school was burnt. When I came in, the school had been burnt. I renovated the section that was burnt, and it was burnt again. Why was it burnt now? Up to now, I don't know why it was burnt. Even the police never gave me any report of their investigation as to why the school was burnt. I don't know.
So who helped you with the renovating?
The Department of Education.
Okay, so if you look back and distinguish between today's learners and the past, what changes do you see?
I think there are remarkable changes in terms of commitment and understanding of the importance of education. Most of the learners at that time were more politically aligned, and they were influenced by the politics that was happening around them. There was even a general call, which was called Freedom Now, Education Later. So which made it very difficult because we were racing against that clarion call, which was saying freedom now. They wanted freedom, free Mandela. If you want us to go to school, free Mandela. You want freedom, you want freedom. See? So it was a political vibe of that time. And this time around, it's not about that. This time around, everywhere, it's education, education. For me to be better, I must go to school. So that made a difference. And you can also see that there is very little political upheaval that is happening around you. So there's nothing political that disturbs you, even on your way to school, even on your way back home. There's nothing related to politics that disturbs you. But at that time, in the morning, you would come across a political disturbance. During the day, you're working normally, some shouting is happening, political slogans and everything was political at that time. So it's difficult to say maybe the learners of that time were more interested, the learners of now are more interested in education than the learners of that time. The influence, the political influence in the area would make it easy for the learners to be swayed away into politics.
I'm going to ask you personal questions.
That's right.
What are you personally most proud of? What are you personally most proud of about Sithengile? What are you mostly proud of about Sithengile?
My personal pride of Sithengile.
Yes.
I'm proud that I've worked in this school for 29 years. I'm proud that I found this school a junior secondary school. which was starting from grade 8 to grade 10. At that time, it was standard 6 to standard 8. At that time, it was called standard 6 to standard 8, which is an equivalent of grade 8 to grade 10. It would end in grade 10, which was standard 8. Then learners had to proceed to high schools, like Sithengile was the only high school around. If you finish at Sithengile, it's either you go to Sithengile or you go out of Claremont. Sithengile was the only high school which would take you from grade 11 to grade 12. Right. So your question is about my pride. Oh, I'm proud that I was able to introduce grade 11 and grade 12, which assisted the Claremont of the community of Claremont to have their learners matriculating in Claremont. And that was in 1991, our first grade 11, 1991. We introduced our first grade 11 in 1991, and in 1993, that was our first matric. Right. So all those are moments of pride. Again, what I'm proud of is the fact that when I came to this school was, I did indicate earlier on that it didn't even have a single door and a single window. I'm proud of the fact that the school has doors in all the classes and windows in all the classes, and all windows are not broken. That makes me proud. I'm proud of the fact that when I came to the school had only 15 classrooms. Today, this school has got 32 classrooms. I'm proud of the fact that when I came to the school, I did say earlier on that it was a single man's show. Only the principal was administration of the school. But this time around, the school now has a full complement of the management team. That includes myself as the principal, 2 deputy principals, 5 HODs, and senior teachers and the master teachers. That really makes me proud that it is now a true manifestation of the collective leadership, which is in line with the principles of democracy. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that this school is respected as a center of learning that is said to be delivering quality of education. I'm proud of the fact that most schools here in Claremont regard Sithengile as their role model. They look at what we do and they emulate what we do, which is something good for the development of the community. I'm proud of the fact that my learners are disciplined. I'm proud of the fact that my teachers are working, they are doing their best. I'm proud of the fact that I'm working in a protected schooling environment. I'm proud of the fact that there is an atmosphere of teaching and learning in my school. You will recall that last term, I was not in this school. I was deployed to another school to go and assist because the objective of the Department of Education was that Thusi, just go and do in that school what you are doing in your school, which then says that they realize and recognize that there is something good happening in this school, and that really makes me very happy. My list is endless. Maybe for now, let me pause there. But if you were to give me time, there's a lot that I'm proud of about this school. I'm proud that I'm hosting you in this school and you feel comfortable, don't feel threatened in a township like this. So that, for now, let's stop here. Next time, come to me. I'll continue with my list of what I pride myself of.
I'm
About this
also
school.
proud that you are principal.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So say, can you think of anything or club that we should interview to better understand the history of our school and community?
A club.
Yeah.
What do you mean club?
Any organization maybe that can help us?
Or any individuals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or individuals. Yeah, there are people you can interview to get a better understanding of the school. Firstly, there are teachers that I respect, that I found in the school, that can give you another perspective of the school. People like Mrs. Sithengile. I found her in this school, and she has a full understanding of the school, and she has been here since then until now. Mrs. Griffiths, I also found her in this school, and those are the two teachers that I've found in the school, and I believe there's a lot also you can get from them about the school. And there is Mr. Morocco in the neighborhood, the other side of the school, an old man, Mr. Morocco. He, at some point, was a member of the, at that time they were called the PTSA, or the governing body now. He was a member of the governing body of the school. There's a lot also that you can hear, and he's in the neighborhood of the school. There's a lot you can get, and he has had children also schooling in the school, and one of his children is now a teacher at Odumo. She schooled here. Babukani, an old man who was a member of the governing body in the school. He has a lot to say about the school, and he's the chairperson of the governing body association, Claremont Guatabega Governing Body Association. So you can interview that man. He was at some point the chairperson of the SGB in the school. He has a lot to say about the school. Then there's the current chairperson of the SGB, Mrs. Mbata. You can also interview her. She has been here for a long time as a parent in the school, member of the SGB, and eventually she's now the chairperson, and she has been chairperson of the SGB for quite some time in the school. She has a lot to say about the school. Mrs. Nube, the current treasurer of the school and a member of the SGB here in the school. She has a lot to say. She's a community member. She has been a parent, and she has been in the SGB for years. She has a lot to offer. Mr. Zulu has been here for a long time, I think since 19... I can't recall exactly, I can check in the file, but he's one of the teachers that have been long here in the school, and is the senior teacher of the school. He has a lot to offer. Who else can I think of outside the school? Maybe it can also help if you can get the teachers that learned in the school, like Ms. Zwane was a student in the school. Interview site with Ms. Tole was a student in the school. Ms. Kumalo was a student in the school. So such people can be resourceful if there's any further information that you need. Miss Ngonyama, that retired. Yes, Miss Ngonyama. I found her in this school, and she's just retired. She has a lot to say about the school.
I am to ask you the common question that you will ask other people. Sir, what makes Claremont unique or different from other places in KZN?
Okay, Claremont. Let's bring it back to the politics of that time. Claremont was unique in the sense that earlier on I did say that there were places that were under the central government. Claremont was one of the few places that were administered by the central government that did not belong to the homeland. Right. That made Claremont unique. It's places like Claremont, not Umlazi, Claremont, Chesterville, Lamontville, Edendale in Maritzburg. So very few pockets of places that were under the central government. So in that way, those places were different from the places that were administered by the homeland. So it made it unique.
What's one fact or story about Claremont would you want to share with someone who's never been here in Claremont?
Politically, Claremont was unique in the sense that these killing of people that were happening, they hardly took place in Claremont. That is the reason why people left their places to come and hide in Claremont. If you look at these shacks here, all around Claremont, Sub-5 and all those shacks, they were not there. These places mushroomed as a result of people running away from their places to seek asylum in Claremont. So that made Claremont unique because it was relatively a safe place. Now ask me what made Claremont safe compared to what was happening in the other areas. What made Claremont safe was the fact that Claremont, people of Claremont were politically conscious. That's one. Number two, Claremont was predominantly an ANC stronghold. So everyone that was here, it was taken he's an ANC person. When at that time, take for example, in places like Mgababa, there were fights between ANC and IFP. You go to Hammersmith, ANC, IFP. But here in Claremont, it was mainly ANC. So people would run away and dwell all over. People would run away from their places and come and hide here in Claremont. So that made Claremont unique.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice interviewing you. So, sir, do you have anything you want to say or share with us?
I was hoping you were going to ask a question which is normally asked by people that interview me. Why the name Sithengile? But maybe I think you know that. And so I was hoping you were going to ask that because there's a lot in that name, Sithengile secondary.
So would you mind asking?
That was on your list, guys.
We didn't think it would matter.
Okay, right. Now that name Sithengile, where did it come from? I've already alluded to the fact that Claremont is a unique area. Right. What makes Claremont unique? It is the fact that in Claremont, you actually buy the land. That's why you would understand it better. You will understand it better because there is what you call it Claremont Oma stand. What is that? What is Oma stand? Mastende is the owner of a plot. Mastende, the owner of the plot. Mastende in the common language. Right. So that made Clermont unique because the people of Clermont would pride themselves in the fact that they bought the land. It was not, they were not renting the land. They bought the land. It belonged to them. It didn't belong to the government. And when in places like Guamash, Umblas, there was what was called a 99-year lease. They did not have the title deeds. People of Clermont had the title deeds. This piece of land, mine, Thusi is 3789 40th Avenue. That is my piece of land in Fenton. No one will take it away from me. It's mine for generations to come. This is a Thusi site. You see? So people of Clermont were proud about that this is the land of our forefathers. I have a piece of paper that says I'm the owner of this piece of land. So where did I get it from? I bought it. In isiZulu, I bought it. Translate that to isiZulu. Sithengile. Yes. I bought this. It's mine. Can't tell me anything about it. And people of Clermont were then saying, here in Clermont, we bought Sithengile thina Clermont. No one can tell us anything. You see? No one can say anything. I've got a piece of paper that says I am the owner of this thing. So that's how then this name Sithengile came about. It came about through the veterans of that time, people, the leaders of that time that were very adamant and very proud of the fact that they were Clermont people. One of them being Zazi Kuzwayo, the famous businessman of Clermont, who was also one of the chairperson, what were they called at that time? But the governing body, he was the chairperson of the governing body of that time, but they were not called the governing bodies of that time.
So how did the colors of the uniform match with the name? Or you just thought, these colors it's going for the school?
No, the colors of the school were chosen by the people that were leading the school at that time, much as they were not reinforced. But when I came in, there was already the colors of the school, but they were not properly coordinated because it was a maroon tunic and a khaki shirt. So to me, it really didn't blend well. So I then discarded the khaki shirt and put in a white shirt. That's how the colors came to what they are now. But boys, it was black shoes, white black shoes. I think the grey was there, white shirt, no tie. So I had to introduce the tie, tracksuits, and all those things, t-shirts.
Thank you, Sir, for your time. It was a wonderful day and moment talking to you, interviewing you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine, and I hope you did get what you wanted. And in time, if there is more that you think you did not touch upon, feel free to come back. You're more than welcome. And I'm sorry that I couldn't make some coffee. Had I known that you were coming, I would have made some tea for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.